So we're going to do dissection, or otherwise known as butchery, of a chicken. Okay, we've got some lovely free-range chickens from the local butchers. Clean and sanitise your knives, clean and sanitise your board. Even if you are taking the knives out of your knife wallet or your knife box or anything along those lines, you don't know if there's any cross-contamination in your wallet or your box or anybody's been in it, so it's the best practice to make sure that everything is properly clean and sanitised. First of all, we are going to make sure we wash our hands, which I've already done. I'm going to choose to put on some gloves. That's just a personal point, you don't have to. We've got a tray that we're going to use for putting our cuts into, and we've got a selection of knives. Now, you can use multiple different knives. A knife, there are specific knives to specific jobs. Butchery is generally done with a butcher's knife, which is this one. It's very strong, the metal is very thick, it's got a very strong handle, it's a short blade. A lot of people prefer to use a butcher's knife. You could also use a chef's knife. For part of this demonstration we will turn to the chef's knife purely because it's heavier, it's more weighty, and we'll be using the heel of the knife, which is this point down. The top point where the curve is generally used for your fine cuts, your vegetable cuts, your herbs, everything along those lines. But for a process of butchery, you just want to be using the heel. I personally, and it is my personal, I like to use a filleting knife. It's flexible, and you can get in and tuck around the poultry, okay? You can tuck around the chicken, you can minimalise the waste. So from my point of view, I like to use a filleting knife. But there's no right or wrong knife to use, you have to use whatever's comfortable for you. If I was butchering something larger, like a pig or a lamb or a beef, I would go for my butcher's knife because it's stronger, okay? You've also got your steel, okay? So you're going to need to use that to make sure that your knives are sharp. I've already sharpened my knives. Quality points, when you get your chicken, you want to open your chicken up, if it comes in a nice little bag like this does, and you want to check it, okay? This should be done on delivery. You're going to be looking for quality points, okay? You're going to be looking to see how the chicken is, okay? Looking to see the quality of it. So we're going to feel it, okay, initially. We're going to make sure it's not slimy. It should feel a little bit tacky, okay? But it shouldn't feel slimy in any way, shape or form. Any little remote form of sliminess, get rid of it, phone your supplier, find out, get a refund, get a replacement, send it back, don't use it, okay? We're going to smell it. We're going to smell inside the cavity, because inside the cavity is where all the organs are, so that's where it starts to decompose first. So the initial point of decomposition is going to be from the inside, so the initial point of it going bad is going to be from the inside out. So we're going to smell, make sure it smells fresh. It's not going to smell wonderful, okay? It's not going to smell like roses on a summer's morning or anything like that, but it's not going to smell off. It's not going to smell rancid. We're going to look over the skin. We're going to look at the joints. We're going to look to see if there's any bruises. We're going to look to see if there's any green spots or anything like that. We're going to look to see if there's anything negative about it. We're going to look at the skin, make sure the skin is a nice creamy colour. Now, if you've used corn-fed chicken, the skin's going to be more of a yellowy sort of look to it. But in this case, we've just got a free range, so we're looking to make sure it's nice and a creamy colour. We're going to feel the breasts to make sure they're firm and plump. We're going to feel the legs to make sure they're firm and plump as well. Make sure none of the bones have been broken or anything inside, because if anything has, then obviously you know it's not being prepared properly. Initially, we're going to start off with the wings. So we're going to find a little ball, and you can feel it, okay? If you run your finger over the top, you can feel a little knuckle. You're going to take the knife, and in one clean motion you can run your knife all the way through. Hardly any pressure is needed. And then we're going to take that off. We're then going to take off this wing tip. Again, we're going to feel for the little knuckle. We're going to start at the heel of the knife, pull the knife through, and we're going to have our little winglet. This is our wing tip, this is our winglet. So we have two winglets, two wing tips. Wing tips can go into your stocks and your sauces, so we'll put those into the tray. Winglets, these are wonderful, really sweet meat. You can cook these on the barbecue, you can confit them, you can cure or brine them or marinate them beforehand, and the bones can push out. So people that don't like eating bones but want that lovely sweet meat, you can push them out so they're boneless. Now, we're going to move on to the legs. Some people like to remove the breasts first, some people like to remove the legs first. I personally like to take the legs off first. So we're going to take the legs and you're just going to lightly massage in between. Make sure that you soften and start to separate the legs from the breast and the legs. Once we've done that, we're going to cut down and you can see the separation there. We're then just going to follow the skin. We're not cutting into the meat, we're just following the skin. And we're just going to take it all the way, gently. I'm applying hardly any pressure. So we're going to follow the skin around. We've not cut into any flesh or anything like that. On this side, you can see here there's a lump and it's soft and tender. This is called the oyster. So you're going to take the tip of the knife and you're going to follow it around. This is why I like to use a filleting knife, because it's flexible and you can get in and you can remove it as much as you possibly can with as little waste as possible. So once we've removed the oyster, we're then going to use our thumb and we can feel the knuckle there, the joint, and we're going to pop, okay? Once we've popped that, you can take the knife and you can follow straight through, hardly any pressure, and remove that leg. So that's one leg. That's also sometimes called the quarter cut. Sometimes if you go to your local butchers or something like that, you'll ask for a quarter of chicken, that's what you'll get. We're going to remove it here for presentation purposes. So we're just going to cut straight through and remove that little ankle area. The ankle area can also go into your stocks and sauces. So that is our quarter cut. We're going to take that and put that in there. In the next video, you'll see us bone that out and stuff it for a cooking method, which is called ballantine. The other leg, again, we're going to remove this. Don't be afraid to move the bird around. Some people religiously stick it there and keep it there. If it's easier for you to put it into a position that you prefer, then do it. Again, we're going to light pressure down the skin. When we reach the bottom, we're going to turn it over, find the oyster on the other side, cut around the oyster. Once we've cut around the oyster, we can pop the joint, make sure that's released, and then we can follow it up and remove that leg. I'm going to take this part off, pop that into our little pile for our stocks and our sauces, and we've got our other chicken quarter. We can flip this over. If we open this up, you'll see there's a very faint fat line that runs down there. If you take your knife and then from the heel to the tip, run it through, you will go straight through the joint and you'll be able to cut it in half. This is your drumstick. This is your thigh. So then we're left with the rest of the bird. We've got the spine that runs down here, and we've got the crown that runs here. For this purpose, we're going to turn to our chef's knife, and we're going to cut just in here, take it down, and then we're going to snap and cut this off. This is prime stocks and sauces. I'm going to pop that there, and then this is your crown. When they talk about roasting on the crown, whether it's a turkey, a duck, a guinea fowl, a chicken, this is what you're looking at. Okay, this is a beautiful way of cooking on the breast. You retain a lot of the moisture that comes up through the bones. You can put herbs and flavour and seasoning into the carcass here, and then that steams and generates lots of flavour in the bird. To remove the breasts, there is a line, a faint white line that runs down the middle, okay? That is the breastbone. So with the breastbone there, we're going to go just either side of that, and you're going to take what's called the supreme cut. Just going to gently. This is the point where I like to use a filleting knife, because I can really keep it close to the bones, I can really minimalise the waste, and at the end of the day, anything that's left on the carcass is lost money and wasted meat. Just in here, there's another knuckle bone. You see that little white shining pearl there. We're going to take the knife, and you're going to run the knife from heel to tip right through. No pressure. So that cut is called the supreme. On this side, we've got the other one. This becomes a little bit unstable because all the weight's on this side. So it's automatically wanting to pull this way. So this is the bit that people tend to find a little bit tricky because it's pulling this way. If you hold it and take the other side of the breastbone and run your knife through, and just let gravity do its work. Gravity will help to pull it off. Okay, you can gently ease it with the knife, and you can gently cut through to remove, keep as close to the bones as you can to remove as much as you possibly can. We then got the knuckle again, so then we're going to cut straight through, cut that little top off, and that's another supreme. So if you were to cut this in half, here you would have your sauté cut. So on a sauté cut, you would give someone half a piece of breast and half a leg portion. So to remove the little buffalo wing, which the Americans love, we're just going to cut around and cut that off. That's our little buffalo wing. That can go into stocks, but also you can save them up and you can use them, you can brine them, cure them, marinate them, barbecue them. To remove the skin, we're just going to take the skin, we're going to put 2 fingers to hold it down, and then we're going to use the other hand to pull the skin off. This skin can be rendered. You can get some chicken fat out of it, which you can then use to help make sauces or thicken sauces, or make chicken flavoured butters or anything along those lines. Or what's really quite nice is if you compress it between 2 trays and bake it in the oven till it goes crispy, you get the most wonderful crispy chicken skin, like chicken crackling. Absolutely delicious. You can chop it up, you can smash it up, you can sprinkle it onto salads, you can use it as garnishes. There's multiple different ways of using it. This piece here is called a fillet. So you just lift this off cut through, that's your fillet. And then you're left with your breast, which is the piece that most people like and probably the most versatile. This part here, you can chop this up, you can break it, you can break it with your hands, you can use a knife, you can cut it up. You can then use this to roast and then turn it into your stocks for your brown stocks, or you can just turn it into a white stock. So that's our different cuts. I'll lay them out on the board so you can all see. We've got our drumstick, sorry, our thigh. We've got our drumstick. We've got our un-French trimmed supreme, which we'll French trim next week. We've got our winglets. We've got our fillet. We've got our breast. And then these bits is what you would use for your stocks and sauces. And then we've got our skin.